When Judd decided he wanted to start equipping the persecuted, he had just recently visited an IDP camp for the first time. I could tell he felt a strong calling to help the people in that camp.
After going to Nigeria for several years, I saw a lot of people talking about the problem.
Boko Haram horrified the world.
We all ought to be very concerned.
Boko Haram moves freely around the country and is integrated into many levels of society.
I saw that there were very few people actually doing something about it.
People don't know when they go to bed at night whether they'll even wake up in the morning.
The radical Islamic terrorists come in little village by little village, killing as many as they can, and it's usually the people that can't run fast enough, which are the women and the children.
It's one day in the night, those Fulani people, they enter inside our place. They are pushing us.
Ran da suka shiga garinmu, sun kashe mutane da yawa a garinmu. So suna kwashe 'yan mata da mata suna kwana da su.
The term for people that have been attacked and relocated to another place is called IDP, which stands for Internally Displaced Person. The Nigerian government says, we're not going to protect you, we're really not going to defend you, but we're going to move you over here to this plot of land, have fun, try to survive.
They're out in the middle of nowhere at risk of terrorist attack.
They do not have clean water. There is no hygiene facilities per se here, so there's a lot going on. No schools.
5,500 people here living in a tent city.
A pup tent would be an upgrade for all these people.
The guy watching over the camp is armed with a bow and arrow.
These people are not in a stable frame of mind and do not have good health.
Most people don't realize that 90% of all persecuted Christians killed for their faith were Nigerians in the last 2 years, and that number is continuing to rise.
They are vulnerable to attacks and so on. So the living condition there is terrible.
They're not productive. They can't do anything to help themselves, so they have to keep relying on handouts, rations from elsewhere. They can't produce anything.
The world isn't talking about what is happening to Christians in Nigeria. The mainstream media completely ignores what is going on out there.
It's a nation that needs a move of God.
I couldn't have imagined where the Lord would take me when He called me to serve in Nigeria and start equipping the persecuted. What the Lord has done has just been beyond remarkable, way beyond anything I could have ever imagined. When you have these massive amounts of attacks, it creates lots of widows. They have hardly anything left, and they've lost their farms, they've lost their income, they've lost their family. And so we started a widow support program, and it started off with about 30, then it grew to about 70, then 100, and now, with the very few little resources we have, we're able to support over 200 widows monthly.
The Widows Ministry was beautiful to be able to meet the women and talk to them and hear their stories. It broke my heart. I mean, truly, they were heartbreaking. But then also to see the strength and the way that they continued to trust God and believe in God while they're walking through an absolute storm.
One of the widows that touched me the most, she had lost her husband, had lost her home, had lost, I think, 2 of her children. And she had taken on 9 other children that were not hers. Her husband was a pastor, and I'm pretty sure he was beheaded. One of the women stood up and just started singing praises to the Lord. And pretty soon we were all just praising God for how good He is. It was pretty miraculous.
There's nothing that brings me more joy than seeing a widow that we've been able to help that has taken the little bit that we're giving them and stretching it a mile and helping provide for her children.
It's one day in the night, those planning people, they enter inside our place. When I'm coming out, they are not pushing us. And I see one man, he now carrying me with his 2 children. I can't eat food. I'm telling also my father, they told me that he's coming. Enter inside the hospital. And I check, I do not see my father and I do not see anybody. I belongs to me and I start crying. When all of them to now go and think, you know, I understand why they're crying. They too, they start crying. When come I understand that my father was dead.
I talked to my coordinator, Ben, and it's like, look, we have to build an orphanage. We have to do something for these kids.
And we have children coming in who have lost their parents. They don't have relatives who are willing to take care of them.
We didn't have the resources at the time, but we bought some land. And then 3 months later, I get a call from a stranger I don't even know, and he provided the funding to build an orphanage for us.
We went over and saw the orphanage. When we first started it, it was a couple rows of blocks high, and we just dedicated it.
I absolutely loved the orphanage, the way that they had everything set up, and the kids were so pleased when they were showing us everything, that they had their own rooms. I appreciated that they had an area where families can come and stay.
There's some pastors in the area that will come in with their families on Sundays and have dinner and have lunch with all the orphans.
The children were well adjusted. It wasn't like any of them were fearful or anything like that.
When some of these people come in, all the kids run up to them and call them daddy, and they play with them like they would play with their own kids.
They're not just kids in an orphanage just being taken care of. They're actually part of these other families that are coming in and out.
We try to teach the kids and come alongside them saying, you are a family and you are part of our family.
I think I left feeling very encouraged with everything that's being done.
Every time I go back, I mean, I just get swarmed by all the kids calling me daddy, and I go, I wish I could bring every single one of you to the United States. It's changed my life forever.
It's not just this generation that's going to be changed with it. Now that the children are going to be brought up the right way, they're going to trickle down what they've learned. You know, it's amazing to me the way that it's changing the community.
What happens if you lose your village, you lose your town and everything in it? Well, there's no school for children. There's no education set up. Everybody's struggling, trying to live and survive, so the last thing on their minds is education. We found a very big need, so we built this school. And it started off with about 40 kids, then we had 80, then we had 120, and this is only 2 years later, we are now serving 300 kids at our Paradise Academy school, K through 12. Equipping the persecuted funds everything. We pay for the uniforms, we pay for the teachers, we pay for the curriculum, we pay for the books, we pay for the buildings.
The children you are seeing, they are less privileged, but by coming here, they are coming here make them to be more exposed than from where they are. And most of them, their parents, they don't value education. They are using this medium to enlighten their parents more about education. Most of them are driven away from where they were due to crisis or Boko Haram issue. Some of them that I have in my class, their parents are nowhere to be found.
You know, these are otherwise normal kids that have been through terrible, traumatic circumstances. Because of the school, they can aspire to something. They can have goals. They have life skills that they can pass on, maybe change family trees.
I have 2 sisters in my class. I just came to realize that they lost their mom. So I was asking about their families. They don't like open up that to tell me that they don't have families. So I came to realize that they are staying with their uncle. We are just like parents to them here. So make them feel that we are their parents too, and that they should just see this place as if it's one of their home too.
It's great to see the kids come running up to you again.
Let me tell you, every time I go back, I visit these children, I say, hey kids, do you like school? They're like, yeah, we love school. We love it so much. I wish my kids would feel that way about school sometimes.
What we're hoping is that we can see them grow up to be mature Christians and leading the area.
They are eager to learn, and they know that is one of their only ways out of their situation is getting an education. And it has been a blessing to be able to help provide that for them. What would you kids say to people back in the U.S.?
Okay.
What would you say to people in America?
Thank you, sir.
All right. God bless you. Ben came to me and he goes, we really need an affordable school of health and medicine for people. I said, this is not up my alley, but if you think the Lord wants us to do it, let's start the process. So we built the School of Health. A doctor from up north in Nigeria came to us. He was a Muslim doctor that converted to Christianity, and they threw him out of the state that he was living in because he was a Christian. He came across our path, and immediately, this was the man who's gonna run and teach at our College of Health. And he's a very wonderful Christian doctor with a heart for Jesus and a heart for the gospel. In January 2024, we had our first induction of 70 students. We've been able to help out a lot of people around the community. One of the unique things about equipping the persecuted is that we work with village security teams. These are guys who get no funding from the government. They're purely volunteer. They're only armed with shotguns, homemade shotguns. I've seen these guns, I've held these guns. I would never want to shoot one because I would be afraid it would blow up in my hands. But this is what they defend themselves with against sophisticated terrorists that come in with AK-47s. As soon as we saw the situation, I was like, okay, what can we do legally within the bounds of legality that we can help these guys any way possible?
We've tried to help them out. They are volunteers. They're of the utmost quality. We do give them radios and we do give them training as far as medical and how to look out for things.
We've come alongside and we have trained well over 1,000 village security personnel. When we come there and we teach them these things and we teach them these skills, we get people coming up to us in tears, hugging us, thanking us for caring enough about them to teach them these things.
They are very well educated people who are volunteering their services to do the same thing we are.
After 2.5 years of starting equipping the persecuted, one of the things that kept on driving me crazy is that if information got out to the United States or other parts of the world about Nigeria, the information was incorrect. I said, no, we're done with this. There needs to be a counter narrative and a truth narrative about what's happening in Nigeria. Instead of them lying about 50 being killed, we put out the accurate number by actually counting the bodies on the ground that 80 were killed. And we're not shy about who killed them. Our reporting and intelligence is so good, we are now able to issue terror alerts. That alone has saved tens of thousands of lives. We are a very trusted source for news in Nigeria about what's actually happening. Another practical need and another extension of our mission is the Cornerstone Pastors Network.
The Pastors Conference, I saw profound potential. Nigeria, it is like the epicenter for the continent. If you can get revival and spiritual awakening in Nigeria, it'll spread all over the continent.
First year we started was 200 pastors showed up to our first conference. Second year, over 400. We're about to do our third pastors conference, and we're expecting anywhere between 600 to 1,000 pastors to show up to this conference. Equipping the persecuted funds every pastor. We pay their transportation, and we feed them for 3 days, and we cover their accommodations.
When you have a couple hundred pastors that are willing to risk their own lives to come to learn the Word of God, these people could change their nation.
This is a chance for us to bless these pastors and say, we appreciate you, especially you guys that are on the front lines of this persecution, risking your lives every day and every week just to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Christianity in Nigeria is more on fire per se. People actually live for God.
It's a really big deal for us and for them to come to this conference.
In a faith environment that tends towards mysticism, as in they're spiritual, they fast, they pray, they worship, but they don't know how to do things. Equipping the persecuted connects some of those dots. It doesn't just meet practical needs, it gives practical vision so that they can practically apply their life and be doers of the word.
Their passion and zeal for God, that's what touched my heart the most. I wish more people in this country could have that type of zeal for the Lord.
Now, a lot of people ask me, what are your future goals with equipping the persecuted? What is the vision? One of the big things that we want to do is we want to get the resources available to construct entire new towns for IDPs, provided with a very robust security infrastructure so that no one will want to attack them. But we want to get them out of living in the dirt and get them into livable situation where they have schools, where they have churches, where they have places to live. We need to quit putting Band-Aids on the situation and do something about this. The other thing we need to do is we need to build a hospital where people can get treated, especially those that can't afford treatment, can get treated with great medical care and not be dumped on the street because they can't pay their medical bill after they've been shot by terrorists. The other major project that we'd like to do following the hospital is a very well-built facility that rehabilitates women that have been victimized, that not only have they been wounded, they've been raped. They have been traumatized. We want to build IDP cities. We want to build a hospital, and then we want to build a very, very high-end facility to rehabilitate traumatized women. The dollars that are being spent with equipping the persecuted are going to actually help persecuted Christians on the ground.
Personally, I went where the money's being spent and you can physically see that lives are being changed. God is moving.
This is not your foo-foo mission. This is not your, oh, we're going over here to, sightsee and make some smiles happen over here and everything's good. No, we're talking about life and death. What it's going to take to change the face of Nigeria is for Christians to sacrifice a little bit of themselves.
In the future, if more people could just put a cup of coffee down a month or going out for a meal a month, $20 goes 100 times further there than it does here.
Sacrifice just a little to better the life of a persecuted Christian who've lost everything they've had, including their family members. I hope 10 years from now, our organization doesn't have to exist, that the problem has been dealt with and that Christians are no longer being murdered for their faith in Nigeria. We can change the face of Nigeria for the better and stop the persecution against our brothers and sisters.
The reason I keep coming back to Nigeria is because I can see the change in the people as we go back. We can see the change in the students at the school. We can see the change at the orphanage with the children. We can see the change with the people who are actually volunteering to help us there. It's tremendous that we can give opportunity to these people. It's really unfortunate the things that they had to go through. But we're hoping that they can see Jesus in everything we do. And when we go back time after time after time, what we're really showing them, not just telling them, but showing them is that they're being cared for, that there are people that are concerned for them, that this isn't just a one-time opportunity to see them, but they know that we're going to come back again and again to help them out.
Thank you for having us. So, my name is Judd. Can you say Judd? Judd. Judd? Okay, this is, say, Pastor Chase.
Pastor Chase.
And this is Duncan.
Duncan.
And this is Grandpa Steve.
Grandpa Steve.
I never felt led to go to Nigeria at the beginning, and I did a lot of praying, and I'm glad I did go because it changed my life.
Nigeria is not a shortcut. It is gritty, pioneering work. If the church would get a hold of visions like equipping the persecuted and just put their hand to the plow and start digging up the rocks, cultivating the soil. Equipping the persecuted is not taking a shortcut. It's just meat and potatoes, transforming culture with the gospel.
We're going to put the world on notice. We're going to put the terrorists on notice. And we're going to save lives.
My people are greeting, appreciating what you did to us, and they said thank you for all you did to us.
I want to thank Joat and Equipping the Persecuted and all the donors in US for their tremendous support to us in Nigeria, especially to the persecuted believers, the less privileged, victims of terrorism, and all the IDPs, the support they have been receiving. We have a lot of programs that is adding value to Nigerians positively, and the programs are helping promote peace and to establish peace in all those regions. So I want to appreciate every one of you for your kind gesture, for your prayers. May God bless you greatly in the mighty name of Jesus.
On behalf of all the women and the children in this camp, we are saying a very big thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you for watching our video today. I'd like to encourage you to go visit our website, www.equippingthepersecuted.org, to learn about how you can partner with our ministry. I would like to ask that you keep our persecuted brothers and sisters in your prayers. Check us out on social media, facebook.com/equippingthepersecuted or Instagram at equipping.the.persecuted. Share this video with others. Share it with your church, your family, your friends. Thank you so much for your prayers and support. God bless you.